Right now we're going to be using the repeated words function of master edit. I've already pasted my text in here. You should know how to copy and paste now because it was in the introduction, but just in case, you just highlight your text, select in here, and right click and do paste or hit Control V. Now let's hit analyze after we have selected repeated words, analyze, and then you'll see all the repeated words that show up, and next to it how many times the word is repeated. Then I can simply click the one I want to look at. So first what I look for is the ones that have been repeated most often. And so this one is 6 times, but it's the word said, so that's fine. You don't have to, but when you do this repeated word function, said is a quick way to look at your tags. And you might want to take a quick look at your tags anyway, like as you're looking at said, for example. Do any of them appear too close together? And if so, then you can probably remove one of them by making a beat, adding like the person, yawned or touched his shoulder, did some sort of action. That way you can, tell who the speaker is by a beat of like he's doing something. And then another thing I want to look for real quick is when you're doing your editing pass, maybe when you're doing this pass, is to look at, real quickly find where it's like they said, whatever you have. And if you use other words too often, like whispered and retorted and stuff like that, a lot of beginning writers try to avoid the word said by writing these other words like retorted and whatnot. And you don't want to do that, so you want to remove most of those and just remove them to said, and then find other ways. If you have said repeated too many times in a row, but said really disappears. But an easy way to disappear said into the text is like hide it in between. Like they say, have them say a little bit of something, and then comma, said, and then have them finish that sentence. So you hide the said in between their dialogue, and that works. But another way is just putting beats, have them doing things. Like for example here, Brad flicked the flashlight on. You're not scared, are you? So I don't have to say he said, because we know who the speaker is. The next thing I look for after I look for words that have been repeated a lot, like, whoa, that one 7 times, is I look for nouns. Because nouns and proper names too. Proper names are definitely ones you want to look at, because there are times you abuse the proper name of something or a person too many times in a row, and you can easily just change it to he or she, or it if it's a thing. And with the repeated phrases, I kind of went through light a lot, and sometimes you can't really avoid. Notice here, flashlight should have been one word. And since there's not a whole lot of words for light, there's not much I can do to change. If it's just the light itself and the flashlight coming out, which it is, then I can't really change it to something else. So I can look at other words, other nouns, and again, I'm gonna look for any type of names. Okay, so Brad appears 6 times, Zoe appears 4 times. I'm going to go ahead and highlight both of those so they're all highlighted now. Mainly what you're looking for is when you have the names too close together, can you clearly change it to she or he? So I can change this one to she. Notice it stays lowercase because it's still part of the speech there. You just treat the question mark as a comma. Okay, and so then look at other, like the word door, just to see if you can maybe change one of them. Look for nouns also that have more than that appear more than 2 times. So here I've highlighted darkness. So the first time the flashlight pierced the darkness, lighting up seats, that's fine. Blah blah, the darkness swallowed her. But maybe one of these 2 darknesses I can change to something like pitch, or think of another way to describe it without saying darkness. So one way I can do that is I can just change it to blackness. And the word all didn't need to be there, so I removed it. Okay, so as you can see, it's very useful. You can quickly go through the list and see the ones that are nouns, see the ones that have been repeated a lot, like scared 5 times. Quickly see if I could. But in this case, they're talking back and forth, so scared works just fine. I wouldn't want to replace it. I don't want to change their natural way of talking. In fact, this is one of the most useful functions because, like I said, this is the thing that editors are going to have a hard time catching. Anyone's going to have a hard time catching, especially when they're 50 words, 100 words apart. You're going to forget that you had that word. And some people are really good at catching words, but even them, they'll miss certain times where two words are repeated, but where readers might be irritated at it. It just depends on the reader. So, you don't want to repeat words too often, too close together. So there you go. This function is very useful. Matter of fact, I think, honestly, I would buy this software for $30 for instant download, if all it had was the repeated words function. It's worth it just for that function alone.